Fabio Wardley versus Frazer Clarke, 12 rounds in the heavyweight division. I'm looking forward to this one, man. Let's get into it. Let's start with Fabio Wardley. 17 wins, no losses, 16 wins by way of knockout. I've been impressed with Wardley personally. I think he's been improving every fight in some areas, and I think he's getting more and more confident in each fight. Offensively, I mean, he's got all the goods, right? We're talking about speed. He's got that. We're talking about combinations in his punches, the placement, the accuracy. He's got that, the athleticism, the quickness. The man's got the goods. I was very impressed with his performance against Nathan Gorman. His first true test. We know that Wardley doesn't have a crazy amount of amateur pedigree. I'm not even sure if he really spent a lot of time in the amateurs. So he is learning everything on the fly in the professional setting of things. And when he fought Nathan Gorman, there was a lot of people that was telling me, man, Gorman is going to walk through Wardley. And I said, let's not write off Wardley just yet. Felt like it was a fight that we got to see his chin being tested against a guy who can punch. When Wardley fought Eric Molina, he got clipped a few times in that fight as well, too. But Gorman, to me, was much sharper, more accurate than Molina. And it seemed like Wardley, in their fight, knew what type of fight that it was going to be. It wasn't going to be an fighting on the outside type of boxing match, the sweet science of boxing. Nah, it was going to be a war. It was going to be, as they say, mano versus e-mano. It was going to be one of those fights where questions are going to be asked. Do I stand my ground and prove that I can fight any fight and win? Or will the moment be too big? Questions we got the answer to. Felt like Wardley rose to the occasion after dropping Gorman a few times in that fight, man. He closed out the show in the third round, but that was by far his biggest, most dominant win to date. Daniel Dubois stopped Nathan Gorman in 5 rounds. For whatever it's worth, if we're talking about a comparison standpoint. Now, in his most recent fight, he fought David Adelaide, an undefeated fighter at the time, someone who many people were high on as well. These are 2 up-and-coming heavyweights and trying to climb the ranking of things and continue to make a name for themselves onwards to bigger and better fights. Felt like leading up to the fight, there was a bunch of trash talkers. We saw some stuff happening on the runway, the incident that happened on the runway between those two. I knew this fight was going to be good, man. You know, anytime you get a little bit of animosity leading up to the fight, you know it's going to be who holds their composure better, who isn't too emotionally attached, where they forget what they've been practicing and training in and the strategy that they've been trying to master in preparation and training camp, and they got to execute it on the night. I didn't think this fight was going to be close personally. I felt like Wardley was just the better all-around fighter. All right, I felt like Wardley is more multi-dimensional in his approach, where Adelaide was pretty straightforward. But of course, execution is the most important thing on the night. And man, did Fabio Wardley execute to the T on that night. Adelaide looked pretty tired after the 5th round. Big, strong guy, big, strong puncher. But after the 5th round, man, he looked very tired. And when I did a breakdown of that fight, I said, man, it's going to be interesting to see what the second half of that fight looks like, because David Adelaide hasn't really been past the 4th round too often in his young career. I think at that point, maybe 2 or 3 times, if that. And once Adelaide got tired, his hands started to drop a little bit more, and Wardley started to let his hands go, and the shots continued to land more and more with more steam behind them, and he closed out the show. The short right hook followed by the left hook. And then Adelaide hit the canvas. He stuck his tongue out. And then Fabio Wardley just looked at him almost as if he was saying, man, it's over with. I hit you down. Now I'm going to take you out. And that's exactly what happened after he was knocked down the first time. It was a real dominant performance. And you can see there's a level of confidence that Fabio Wardley has right now and belief. So even though he doesn't have an extensive amateur career or an extensive amateur background, man, he's adjusting very nicely in the pros. And he's going to be looking to continue that winning streak against Frazer Clarke. Let's talk about him. 8 wins, no losses, 6 wins by way of knockout. Wardley doesn't have the amateur pedigree. but Frazer Clarke definitely does. We're talking 2020 Olympic bronze medalist, 2018 Commonwealth champion, if I remember correctly. I remember watching his first 3 fights and thinking to myself, yo, I'm not really sure how good this cat is just yet. These opponents were so bad, it's hard to say how good he is. Now, when he stepped in the ring to fight Kamil Sokolowski, things got very interesting because that was a fight that almost backfired on Clarke and his team, right? Sokolowski took the fight to Clarke, and I'm not sure Clarke was ready for that type of resistance. He's used to having his ways. He's used to punching up cats and cats just folding and cats hitting the canvas. But Sokolowski, he wasn't doing that, man. He wasn't just about to go down. He wasn't just about to just come into this ring for a check. No, he was trying to get the win. He was trying to win this fight. He was trying to tell the younger fighter, like, look, it's not just going to be a walk in the park. Anytime Sokolowski let that left hand go, it was landing. Whether it was a hook, whether it was a looping shot, it was getting through. Felt like Clarke was getting a hit a lot with the jab on that fight. Clarke wasn't moving his head off the line, which is why Sokolowski was able to hit him so often and so consistently. Sokolowski at that point, though, he was been through too many wars. He was much older, so he didn't really have the power to really do damage to Clarke. And so it was tough for Sokolowski to really get the respect of Clarke, even though I don't think that Clarke really did anything to really hurt Sokolowski in the fight. But it was a fight that Clarke got, slightly handed a little bit in that one, but he got the nod on the night. So we move forward. Now, when he fought Bogdan Dinu, he was much better. He was sticking with his jab more and more and not just pushing it through, right? He was snapping it back like a piston and not just pushing it and trying to set up a shot. He was using the jab as a weapon and not just a lever to create separation. I felt like his head movement wasn't the greatest, but his control of distance was better. I felt like Frazer Clarke's body work in that night, man, he got himself in a nice rhythm, a nice groove before the stoppage. His placement, his punches were really exceptional that night, and it was a much better performance than the previous one. When he fought Marius Watch, I felt like it was a missed opportunity for him to really dominate that fight and look great doing it. Right. It was his first 10-round fight. So maybe he was pacing himself and, didn't really want to extend himself too early in the fight, didn't want to overdo it. But, man, it wasn't an impressive performance, man. I felt like that's a fight where he should have got the stoppage. He should have dominated, and he won a wide victory. But personally, in the heavyweight division, when you're trying to look good, you got to separate yourself. And I feel like he did not do that, in my opinion. In his most recent fight, he fought David Allen. And again, I thought he looked okay. Clarke, to me, for as big as he is, man, he wants to be more of a boxer than someone who fights a physical fight and uses strength. He's a big cat. He's a big dude, man. And I feel like he could just be a little bit more aggressive. I felt like against Allen, he hit the body well, but I feel he wasn't really taking too much risk, man, to really close out the show. Even the stoppage was a little bit strange, man. There was a bunch of low blow body shots Clarke was landing, and it seemed like Allen just got frustrated and didn't want to fight anymore. But the whole fight was uneventful to me, man. Apart from the ref taking a point, there wasn't really much that was happening. And I wanted to see more from Frazer Clarke offensively and just seeing a more aggressive version of him, because I do think he can sit down on his punches a little bit more and really impose his will on his opponents. But I didn't see that too much in his recent fights. I also didn't like the constant tying up in that fight as well, too. Again, I like Clarke, and I feel like he needs to have a big performance against Wardley, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he does perform and how this fight unfolds. So who wins? I think this is a great time for both men to be fighting each other, man. Sometimes, the young up-and-coming prospects, they don't fight each other. because they're trying to grow and they're trying to be a bigger figure, a bigger name. But no, I think it's great timing for both men. Both guys are undefeated. Both guys are strong in their areas. I think Clarke is a very accurate heavyweight tactical fighter, very nice technique, very nice work to the body. You know, that's that amateur background coming out. For how big he is, though, man, again, he's not a punishing puncher and he's not a very aggressive guy. I'd love to see him let his hands go a little bit more and to just make things more physical on that front foot and put his opponent in an uncomfortable position. Wardley might not have the amateur pedigree as we've talked about, but man, he's athletic and he can punch and he's going to take a risk and he's going to make things exciting. Wardley is going to be there to get hit, so as Clarke is going to be there to get hit. But I think Fabio Wardley packs a bigger punch to me. I think he's going to push the pace of the fight and get Clarke out of his comfort zone, test his chin and his conditioning. I like Fabio Wardley to win this fight by stoppage. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a couple ways that you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel. It will be greatly, greatly appreciated. Shout out to everybody that continues to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video, this time do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.